Good morning, friends, and welcome to the pre-market view. We've seen some weakness in the US markets, and they were down about 0.3 to 0.4%. In fact, they were off from the lows of the day, but overall, we are seeing for the 3 days that there is some weakness in the US markets, as the noise on the tapering has actually increased over the past 2 or 3 trading sessions, and most of the people are agreeing that over the next probably 3 to 4 months, tapering would begin anywhere from, let's say, September to December. The exact timing is not clear, but that is what is reflected in the way some of the currencies, the emerging markets, and even some of the asset classes are behaving. European markets were mixed. Germany was down about 0.5%, whereas FTSE was up about 1%. The Bank of England has kept the policy rates unchanged. And when we look at the Asian markets today morning, Nikkei is up almost about 0.8%. But the rest of the markets are not showing that kind of a strength. In fact, some of the markets like Malaysia, Korea and Singapore are shut. Also, the market is expecting some decision from the Bank of Japan's 2-day policy meet. No major expectations as such, but it remains to be seen what their overall monetary stance is going to be. Also from China, today the trade data is expected, which could affect the market performance of China and rest of the Asian markets. In terms of currency movements, euro continues to gain strength at about 1.33, and even yen has depreciated. In fact, yen has appreciated to about 96.5, which means that we've seen some weakness in the dollar for the past 2-3 days, at least against some major currencies, though against some of the emerging market currencies we are not seeing that trend happen as yet. In terms of flows, friends, FIs were net sellers in the cash market to the tune of about 330 odd crore. The domestic institutions were buyers to the tune of about 220 odd crore, and in the index futures, the FIs were net sellers to the tune of 535 crore. So after a long time, we are seeing the FIs selling in the cash market, and index futures, we are seeing that this is happening for the past 3 to 4 days. Which is the reason why we are not seeing any meaningful pullback in our markets, though it has actually gone down almost about 9% since July 23rd. So on that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O cues, ideas and strategies that we can have in the F&O markets.
Good morning, friends. Let's have a view at derivatives. Friends, rupee has been playing the spoil sport from past couple of trading sessions, and due to which we have seen that the carnage in the market continues, and also we have seen that market has slipped as close to 5,500 levels. Now during second half of the session, we have seen some bounce taking place in the market, and due to which markets have closed above 5,500, and that is purely on basis of some short covering taking place in the market. The PCR ratio remains stable at 0.95. Now talking about the options activity, on the put side, we have seen some unwinding taking place in 5,600, 5,700 and 5,800 put option, and that focus has shifted towards 5,400, 5,300 and 5,500 put option. On the call side, we have been seeing that 5,800 call option on the current metrics stands with highest number of shares in the open interest, followed by 5,700. Our weekly VWAP is also at 5,700. We have seen implied volatility cooling off marginally. So what we feel is that overall bias for the market is positive, and we may see bounce up to VWAP levels in the market, that is around 5,700 levels. And we would revise our bias once Nifty manages to close below 5,500 level. SGX Nifty is suggesting a positive opening. As our bias for the market is also positive, we would like to play on the long side of the market, so we suggest buying Hero MotoCorp with stop loss of 1805.70. Thank you.
Here are the important news and events that we are tracking today. First of all, the companies which will be announcing their numbers. REC, we are looking at a net profit of about 104 crore. Jet Airways, we are looking at a net loss of about 185 crore. Adani Enterprise, a net profit of about 306 crore. And in case of IRB Infrastructure, a net profit of 144 crore for this quarter. Tata Motors reported their numbers for this quarter yesterday, and the overall consolidated net profit declined by 23% to about 1726 crore, mainly led by the sluggish domestic business. And the company's consolidated revenue actually grew by almost about 8%, and overall the domestic market performance has been quite weak, and the vehicle sales also fell by about 19% to 1.54 lakh units. So overall, we feel that because of the JLR performance, only the Tata Motor is able to report good set of numbers. The overall bias towards the stock is definitely positive. The parliamentary panel headed by Yashwant Sinha has reported that the gas price hike which has been proposed should be actually capped because of the slowing down economy, and the government should review the new gas pricing policy. And the panel has also said that the cap was necessary to avoid the potential unlimited gains to the local producers. So this is in a way sentimentally negative for the oil and gas sector, particularly companies like Reliance Industries, ONGC and Oil India. But this is just a recommendation, and unless the government really takes it seriously, there may not be really a material impact on these stocks. In other important development, the oil regulator DGH has recommended an additional penalty of about 781 million on Reliance Industries, which would take the total fine to almost about 1.78 billion because of the shortfall in the output of the KG-D6 basin. At the same time, in a relief to the Reliance Industries, the DGH has rejected Finance Ministry's suggestion that the Reliance Industries should not be allowed to increase the natural gas price for the deficit in the production that they have reported in the last about 4 to 5 quarters. The overall under recoveries for the upstream companies like ONGC, GAIL India, Oil India has actually gone up to almost about 60% as against 34%, and the absolute amount of subsidy burden has gone up by about 12,000 crore for the first quarter of 2014. So again, this is a negative news for the upstream companies, and we've seen that some of the stocks have come under pressure, and that negative bias for stocks like ONGC, Oil India could continue. NMDC has cut its iron ore lump price by about 200 rupees per ton, and now the iron ore lump will be available at about 4,300 rupees per ton. So definitely it's a bit of a negative for the NMDC. And Coal India Trade Union have announced a 3-day strike against the proposed divestment of the company by the government of India. So again, this is negative for the Coal India stock. Adani Port is close to acquiring Dharma Port, which is a joint venture between Tata's and L&T, and the amount could be worth about rupees 5,000 crore for this transaction. And in a aim to push the infrastructure sector, the government is allowing the import of steel without any quality certification for projects with more than 1,000 crore of outlay. So this is basically to speed up the entire infrastructure investment from the domestic side. Coming to the stock specific news, RBI has lifted the restriction on the FIs of buying the share, and FIs were holding about 22.03% stake in the company. So this could be a bit of a relief for Maruti stock. So one can go long there with a stop loss of 1304 and a target of about 1371 to about 1396. And L&T, the Odisha government has entered into an agreement with L&T for setting up a 28 mega lift irrigation schemes for a total amount of 647 crore. Also, if Dharma Port transaction, as I said before, also goes ahead, then it would be a positive for L&T. So one can go long there with a stop loss of 763 and a target of about 802 to about 818. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a great weekend and see you on Monday morning.